Okay, Google, what's the weather going to be today?
Today in the Villages, there'll be thunderstorms with a forecasted high of 73 and a low of 68. Currently it's 71 with showers.
Question and answers for this week. Let's get to it. Kind of a cloudy day today. Of course, you already heard that, didn't you? Mike B. and Sylvain L. or Sylvan. Both of you asked basically kind of the same question. Mike B. and Sylvain asked about the summer heat and how do we cope with it. There's no denying it. July, August, September, maybe even June too for that matter. Hot, hot, and hot. I know you get 90 degrees in Indiana, 90 degrees or whatever in Midwest states, but 90 degrees here with the humidity they have, it just seems much hotter. But maybe it's because I'm getting older, I don't know, but it's just hot. How do we cope with it? Well, we have air conditioning. You know, and it's not that we don't go outside, we do. I play golf regularly. Actually, I probably play more golf in the summer than I do in the winter because the snowbirds are gone and I can get tee times when I want them. A lot of people in the summer that play golf, they go for early morning tee times. So by the time they're done, the heat of the day hasn't really started yet. I mean, it'd be warm, but not like, you know, really hot. Our tee times for my Wednesday group is we go for 10:29. That's the earliest we can get it, you know, to 10:30. Because an executive course, 9 holes, hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on what course you're on. By that time, 10:30, it's noon, and we head to the nearest country club, usually somewhere, and have lunch and a beer, or maybe just drink our lunch. So that's what I do on Wednesday. And so, and I will say this too, that after you're here for a while, you get used to it. You get weatherized. I don't know the right word. You just kind of get used to it. When I first came down here, coming from the Midwest, you know, in the wintertime, I came down in October, sold my other house that was here. It was a patio villa, and then bought the full-time house here on the newer side at that time. And it was 68 degrees, 70, rainy October days, you know. Hell, I thought it was great. I'm walking around in shorts on, and even though it was kind of rainy on some of the days, I thought it was great. Now, 4 years later, 68 degrees, a little rainy, I'm putting on a jacket, long pants. You get accumulated. I don't know what it is. You get used to the weather. So give yourself a couple of years in the summer months, and hopefully you'll just kind of get used to it. It's still hot, but it gets better. That's really all I can say. I don't really know what else to say. If you are losing your hair, wear a hat. And also, if you're an outside kind of person, like you go to the pool a lot, or you want to play golf during the day, or whatever, sunscreen, and more sunscreen. I ain't gonna say that there's a lot of skin cancer here, melanoma. I ain't saying that at all. But just in my neighborhood, I know Donnie next door had to have melanoma removed from his nose. Another guy I know down the road, same thing. He had to have melanoma removed from his nose. And that's the only two people I really know that actually had something done. I had a couple removed off my back. Come to find out, neither one of them was cancer related in any way. But, you know, she wanted to go digging around back there, so she did. So yeah, it could be an issue in the sun and the heat and whatever. Do what you can do. Wear a hat. Actually, I think what you should do, because I'm thinking back to my dad in Indiana, he had melanoma. He wasn't in Florida, but he got melanoma in Indiana also. And he got it on the top of his ear right here. So maybe it'd even be smart to have a hat with a brim. I don't have one either. Maybe I should. But I do have sunscreen. I mean, I smear it. I rub it on the ears, in the ears, around the earlobes, on my neck. Any skin exposed, I have to. Because I'm losing pigment in my skin. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no cure. There's no treatment. I've been to many doctors. There's nothing you can do. It's not fatal or anything, but because I am losing pigment, I got to be extra sensitive to the sun rays and melanoma and things of that nature. So when I golf, you'll know it's me. I think I'm the only guy on the golf course that wears 2 gloves, one on each hand. And it ain't because of my grip or anything like that. It just kind of protects my hands. So, yeah, you just do the best you can do, you know. But heat is a problem. And I have recommended to people. They're always wanting to come down in the winter. Well, everybody wants to come down in the winter. You know, it's kind of like in a semi-truck. Everybody wants to drive, well, I won't say that. I'll just say everybody wants to drive a semi-truck until it snows. Then nobody wants to drive a semi-truck. That's the difference between the professionals and what we call steering wheel holders. The professionals are out there doing it. The steering wheel holders are probably sitting at home watching television because the weather's bad. They're not going anywhere. Same thing here. Everybody comes down in the winter, but not everybody wants to stay here in the summer. So anybody that's thinking about buying down here, I have always recommended that. If you're going to be a full-timer or think you're going to be a full-timer, snowbirds, that's no problem. But if you're going to be a full-timer, I've always recommended, before you buy a house and sink a ton of money into this thing, come down and rent a place for a couple of months in the summer. They're all over the place that you can rent them. You can rent them anywhere around here in the summer months. Really cheap, too, because nobody comes down in the summer. Rent a place for a couple of months. Stick it out. And I mean, rent a place like in July and August. And see what you think. You may save yourself a lot of time and trouble. So anyway, that's my opinion. Bugs, love bugs in the heat of summer. I already answered the heat of summer. Bugs and love bugs. Actually, as far as bugs go, sure, we got bugs. You're talking about the kind of bugs that, like mosquitoes, I'm assuming. I don't live on the water, so as far as us having mosquitoes around here, I've never had one. And my wife attracts mosquitoes, and she said she's never been bothered either. And in all the years we had a place up around Sumter Landing, I always get them away from the water. I don't buy a house on the water for that main reason. Bugs, snakes, and alligators. I don't want to be on the water. Well, and sinkholes. So where we're at, in the position that we're at, we've never had a bug, never had a mosquito. We've never had a problem. You go to the squares, when you're sitting at the squares at night, look up at the lights. You don't even hardly see a moth flying around. I don't know where the bugs go or what they do down here, but bugs don't seem really to be an issue. They really don't. Love bug season. Love bug season is May and September, and there's nothing you can do about it except just wait for them to go away. That's it. There's no animal that eats them. They have no enemies of any kind except man and cars, I guess. You see them stuck all over cars when they go through a swarm of them. They're just a big pain in the butt, but they're only here for basically, you know, maybe a week or so heavily, and then they kind of peter out. Last year in May, they weren't very much at all. September, to be honest with you, I never even noticed them. Well, I see one here and there, but not the swarms that you think you see. So that's your biggest issue, is really love bugs. Well, I suppose if you're talking about treating your house, people treat their house for termites. Oh, they got a palmetto bug down here that gets in your flower beds if you got like mulch, where it stays nice and moist underneath the mulch. That's what I've got. They got a palmetto bug. That's what they want to call them. But I got to tell you, I'll just tell you right off the shoulder, looks like a cockroach to me. Maybe it's not. Maybe it just looks that way. But I throw, there's this insecticide kind of thing. It's in a pellet form. You get it at Lowe's or whatever. And I don't know how strong it is, but it's strong enough for that. And I just throw it out over my mulch a couple of times during the summer, during the rainy season. And I don't seem to have any bugs in my mulch hardly at all. And it doesn't affect the plant, so that's what I continue to do. Joe L., new home sales process and what's it like? Easy peasy. They are more than glad to take your money, buddy. And they are more than glad to make it as easy as possible for you to fork that money over. You buy a new house, you got to put 10% down to hold that house. If it's unless they come up with some new equation in Finney, because the village's developer can change the rules as he sees fit as he goes down the line. For example, in my neighborhood, they released 3 houses at a time for sale. Once those 3 houses were sold, then they released 3 more until the majority of the neighborhood was gone. They've changed that in Finney. Now they release a neighborhood, and you can go down a street and you can buy any house on that street. I wish they'd have done that here, but they didn't. But anyway, they can change that stuff. It used to be, and I assume it still is, you have to call a realtor. That's who you really need to call is a realtor, because they got all the exact answers, or at least I think they do, even though I've heard some stories about some realtors that I'm not sure if they even knew anything. But a $300,000 house is going to require you to give them a check for $30,000 when you say, I want to buy this house. First of all, it's a brand new house. You understand, there's no making an offer. If it says $300,040, that's how much it is, $300,040. Don't tell a realtor, I'll give you $299. It ain't going to work. It's a new house. That's just the way it works. So if it's a $300,000 house, you got to give them a check for 30 grand, and they'll get the papers done for you and all that. And I mean, the paperwork will be done just like that. And then they're going to set up a closing date, and they'll have all your information that they need at that point. And then when you go to closing, that's when everything will be done and split across the table like anywhere else. Boom, boom, and you're out of there. Whether you finance it, whether you pay cash for it, whatever you're doing, that'll all be done. And then as far as having model homes, they do once in a while. They'll have like a whole street. I just went to one here not too long ago. They don't build model homes, so to speak, model homes. They have like a whole block of homes of different types. The block is for sale. And so when you go in there, there'll be an open house, let's say, on that road. And that's where I went. And the realtor that's running that whole area, she'll have a sheet of all them houses on that road and how much they are and what the design models are and so on and so forth. And then if they're not unlocked, she'll unlock them for you, or she may just give you the key. She gave me the key. And you just go down there and you walk through them, see what you think, and come back and say, hey, how much was that house here, or how much is that house there? And if you're interested in it, you can plop a check down right there, and that house is going to belong to you. So that's pretty much how they do it. It's a pretty easy process, trust me. I bought my first house and never saw it, other than a couple of pictures that a friend of mine took for me, emailed them to me, and I looked at them, and I had a friend at that time that worked for the Village's Realty. I called him up, told him what I wanted to do. He said, I'll get that paperwork for you right away. He did. He emailed it to me. I initialed it. I emailed it right back to him. And then my 10%, I did a direct deposit into the Village's Realty bank, not their account for that. And he said, as soon as that clears, he said, we'll set you up a closing date. And he called me back like in, I want to say, 10 minutes. It wasn't very long. And said it cleared. My money was there. They gave me the closing date. When the closing date came, we had our computer, our printer ready. They emailed me a bunch of stuff. And I initialed everything, scanned it, emailed it back to them. And then it was just a matter of calling the bank, which I already alerted them what we were going to do. So it was already set up. And I told them to send X amount of dollars right away to that account to finish out the deal. He called me back like in 10 minutes and said they received the money. Congratulations, you own the home. Home watch service. Well, I've covered that before too. I used Affordable Home Watch. You can Google it. It's Affordable Home Watch. They live up on the way on the north end. He did my home watch and my house cleaning, and I can't tell you everything he done for me. He done me a wonderful job. I got no arguments about it at all. I don't know if the guy still does it. He's elderly. He was elderly then. He's even more elderly now. He may have sold the business or had somebody else take over. I don't know. I don't know what village you're in, because keep in mind, these home watch services that you call about getting things done, the village is so big now, they don't go everywhere. they'll have an area in the village, and that's the area they take care of. And if you're buying a place in Finney, and he's way up there by Calumet Grove, the odds are he ain't driving clear to Finney for $40 a month. He ain't going to do it. So you may have to find somebody down there, or if you're around the Sumter Landing area, that's where I was at, he took care of that. And really, I think he went down about as far as Sumter Landing, and that was it. I think he stopped right there. Same thing about people that mow grass, your landscapers, whatever. They don't necessarily drive these things all over everywhere and mow everywhere unless they've got enough clients. The guy that took care of my yard in Sumter Landing no longer does it anymore. So don't ask me about giving you any kind of reference on a landscaper to mow grass and trim bushes and stuff, because I don't have any. I do my own. And the one that I did have, he don't do it anymore. So best thing to do is ask your neighbors when you buy your house and see what they tell you. And that's what you're going to end up doing anyway. Painting the floor. Steve, I done a video on that too. I held the guy's card up there that had his phone number and everything on it. You're going to have to back it up because renting advice. But I'm going to tell you what I did. Take of it what you want, and you know, ignore anything you want. What I did is I did my own. I got a web page through, at that time it was called thevillagesforrent.com. That's been changed. Apparently there was a lawsuit about them using the name Villages a certain way, the way I understand it. Now it's called Villagers Homes for Number. Use the number 4 rent.com. villagersHomesForRent.com. And you can get a web page there for it's like $190 a year, something like that, $180 a year. And then you go there and look, and you'll see how everybody else does it. And up at the top of the page, it used to be, they had things you could click on to rent. Patio villas, courtyard villas, premier homes, designer homes. And you could click on any one of those and see what area, what neighborhood they were in, and all that kind of stuff. And you could even pick a neighborhood that you want to rent in that neighborhood, and it'd show you what was available and how much and what months are available, what weeks are available. Everybody's got their own rules and regulations. Me, I wouldn't rent mine out for a week or two at all. If you didn't take it for at least a month, I wouldn't rent it. January and February and March, one person had to take all 3 months, or I wouldn't rent it. And I never had a problem. I never ever had a problem. People, I rented one year, and it ended up being that every year after that, it was always the same people, came back the same months, and so I never had a problem. But you get a lockbox that goes on the front of the, inside your lanai on a doorknob or something. Inside that lockbox will be a key, usually a key to the front door of the house. You put your advertisement on there, your contact number, your email address, how much you want for it for each month. Any month you don't want to rent out, you just put on there what I always wrote. I just wrote rented. That way, because that's the month my wife was coming down, so we just wrote rented on there and nobody'd ask about it. And the way it was, if I remember right back then, it was $75 we charged for cleaning. We charged... I think it was like $750. That's what it was. $750 for a damage deposit. No pets were allowed. No smoking was allowed whatsoever. And believe me, I had them check on that. They'd go around the yard and look for cigarette butts in the yard, anything like that. If I saw them, those people were out. They'd never rented off me again. Which we never had that problem. Trust me, we never had that problem. But we were always aware of it. And it was so much money a month. In January, February, March back then, I got $3,400 a month in January, February, and March. That money, to hold the unit, you had to pay the damage deposit, the cleaning deposit up front within 10 days. So I usually got a check in the mail pretty quick. And I just put that in the bank, and held on to it. And then the rent for the winter was due 45 days before occupancy. So generally around Thanksgiving time, I'd end up getting this, whatever it added up to, $11,000 or $12,000 check around Thanksgiving time. And that pretty much covered my expenses for the year. And then that's it. And then around March 31st or whatever, well, when they leave, I'd call my home watch guy. He'd go over generally the day or two after, and he'd call me up and tell me everything looked fine, everything was fine, blah, blah, blah. He's the one that cleaned, him and his wife, ones that cleaned the house, so the $75 cleaning fee went to him. I just give it to him. And that was it. We were good to go. And that's how I did it. You can hire house renting companies down here, property management companies down here. I've heard good, I've heard bad. I just looked at it this way. If I wanted to lose a bunch of money, I could do it myself. I don't need their help. So anyway, that's what I done. But if they, let me back up a little bit. If they didn't send me the rent 45 days ahead of time, I had a list of about 4 or 5 people that I could call that would take the property. If he didn't give me the money right when it was supposed to be due, they also did not get the combination to the key box that I told you about that was on the front door. So without that combination, they're not getting access to the house, so on and so forth. So anyway, that's how I did it. Take it for what it's worth. Phil and Chris, how can we get in contact with you personally for advice? I usually meet people like at a country club, have a beer, sit at a table, talk for a while, that kind of thing. Or at an outside bar, like in Brownwood, you got City Fire there, they got a nice outside bar. Gators has got an outside bar. Cody's has got an outside Lanai bar. And we go out there and grab a table, get a beer or something like that and talk for a while. I'll do that. But I'm not giving out my phone numbers. I'm not going to give out my address or anything like that. So just send me an email or something. Let me know where you're at and what time. Remember this, is I just don't do this 24 hours a day. I golf on Tuesday. That's pretty much generally, that blows my day really right there. Wednesday pretty much blows my day. Thursday's beer day, but that don't start till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, if you're down there on a Thursday at 3 in the afternoon, men's beer day's Cody's. I'm there. Generally when we play golf, generally we try to get a 10 to 11 o'clock tee time. So about 1:30, 2 o'clock, that's generally when we get done with the beer and the lunch after the game and all that kind of stuff. So after 2 o'clock, I'm kind of available. Just let me know where you're going to be and what time, and I'll let you know if I can be there or not. Sharon W., do villages keep track of neighborhoods that are most active? Not as far as I know, Sharon. I mean, everything in our area is us. We do it. It's not sponsored by the villages in any way. The chili cook-off we had the other day, that's not a villages thing. That's a Hillsboro thing. My wife does that. For the care and prayer thing, somebody made the comment, said, nice to know care and prayers in the villages. Villages don't do that. The villages don't have a care and prayer. My wife has care and prayer. For Hillsboro, here, where we're at. She don't do care and prayer for people up around Lake Sumter. I mean, I don't want you to misunderstand. It's not a care and prayer that takes care of 120,000 people. It's a care and prayer of our neighbors right here. I've said it before. I live in a great neighborhood, and we watch after one another. We take care of one another. Yeah, and it's groups like that care and prayer, where somebody's sick and they need somebody to come and cook them a meal, somebody to maybe come and, I don't know, help in a lot of ways. That's what they do. We've got several people here that runs golf groups, so we have many golf group here, different outings, different times, different days. People can do bowling groups, bocce. We do a lot in our neighborhood. I don't know that all neighborhoods do that. I can only tell you that the last neighborhood I was in, it was not this way. Maybe we just got lucky. So if you buy into a neighborhood, it's just tricky. If you go into a new neighborhood, you can help do some of these things. You can get them started. If you go into a pre-owned neighborhood, that's one of the pitfalls. Sometimes the clicks are already there, and it's hard for a new person to get into it. It depends on how open the neighborhood people are. In our neighborhood, from what I've seen, shit, they're open for everything. You got a guest, and we're having, say, a family social or a neighborhood social at the rec center. We always tell them, bring your guest on up. I mean, we don't care. That's just the way we are. It's like a big family here. So hopefully you'll find a neighborhood like that. come in our neighborhood. I think there's a couple houses here for sale. People's have to, they're moving, buying bigger and smaller houses. Donnie sold his. There was another one sold on the other side of the street. It's gone. I don't know if there's anything for sale now or not. I could be wrong about that. I see, what was it? Joanne in Vermont is a nature trail 6 miles long. I don't know what nature trail you're talking about. There's more than one here. If you're talking about the one I was on the other day in Finney, I don't know how long it is. It just kind of winds around. It just, you know, and then it goes way on where I was sitting in a bleacher. I think I was kind of show you how it goes on past back there toward the back. And I didn't go back there. So I don't know how long it is. 6 miles long? Maybe. I don't know. I just can't hardly imagine elderly people walking 6 miles. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to play dumb to it. There's also walking trails up at Silver Lake and Orange Blossom area. There's walking trails, I think, in Summerhill and places up there. There's walking trails down there at Finney. So there's many walking trails. Maybe what he's saying, all the walking trails are 6 miles. I don't know. Something that you probably ought to call a realtor and ask him. Kay Moore says, talk more about snakes, bugs, mosquitoes, and alligators. I think I've talked enough about it. Yeah, they're here. Snakes, I've never seen one, but they're here. I've never seen one. I think the closer you are to the water, I mean, if you just use your common sense here, the closer you are to a wooded area or water or anything like that, you're going to see more snakes. You're going to probably experience more mosquitoes because they hang around wet, damp, dark areas. And you're going to, what else was it? As far as bugs go, I don't know what kind of bugs you're talking about. If you're looking for a bug-free environment, we ain't got that. And alligators. Alligators don't bother anybody here. I don't know why everybody worries about an alligator. Alligators lay in the sun all day long, and they don't even hardly move. That's it. During May, I think May is breeding season, so in May, the male alligator might wander from one pond over to another pond if there's a female over there, and then once she makes a nest or whatever, she'll run him out, and then you might see him out there wandering over to the other side of the road, go back to his pond again. But I can tell you the 4 years I've been here, and in the 3 years I had a house up around Lake Sumter, I never saw it. Only alligators I ever see are usually laying around the pond somewhere in the sun, and they ain't moving. I have seen a few alligators actually in the water, just kind of cruising through the water, probably looking for a duck or something that they can get a hold of. And that's it. And the only other thing that I'll say is if you have a dog and he does come down, do not walk your dog around the edge of a water area, any water area. I see it all the time. That's what gators do. They lay around the edges of something and looking for something to come wandering by so they can have lunch. Your dog ain't going to be no more than lunch if you're walking by the edge of a water with your dog. That's what he sees. When he sees your dog, he sees lunch. So just stay away from the watery areas and just cut them some slack and respect them because they can eat you, and you ain't going to have any problem. Donald Swink. Oh, UPS ride-along. I had a video I did in a UPS truck and did a ride-along. And he wants me to do more. Donald, I probably should have done more while I was working there. The docks, the parking lot, and how the yard jockeys do their job, and showed maybe some video of dispatch and, I don't know, all kinds of stuff I could have done. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that's interested in, making a career out of working for a company like UPS or someplace like that, as a driver or whatever. And I just didn't. Don, I hate to tell you, but I'm not going to be doing any more videos with driving a truck at all. I'm retired. And I gave up my CDL. I don't have it anymore. And the main reason why I gave it up, because I don't want to drive anymore. And so, sorry, bud. I do appreciate it, though. But if you're interested in driving for UPS and everything, I wish you all the luck in the world. They have great benefits. It's a tough company to work for because they just have their rules, and you have to be one of them kind of guys or girl. You have to be one of them kind of people that can work under strict rules. And if you have a problem with that, then I'd say don't go there, because I've worked for a few companies in my life, and UPS had some of the strictest rules that I've ever seen in my life. And that's one of the main reasons why I left 2.5 years earlier than what I wanted to. It just got to the point, maybe it's because of my age too, I don't know. I just couldn't take it anymore, and I left. So with all that, that's the questions and answers for this week. I'm just simply going to say have a great day, and hopefully I give you enough information. Hopefully I didn't make anybody upset here, but it is what it is. And I'll see you all on the other side.